Here we go. It's me. It's DDP. Diamond Dallas Page, the king of bada bing, the master of the diamond cutter, the three-time world champion. And you, well, you monkey, you're listening to WCGO, 1590 AM, and my man, the man was playing Harv. God.
AM 1590 is WCGO Radio in Chicago, where Chicago goes for Celebrity Hotline Conversations on a Saturday morning. To the Celebrity Hotline we go. He will be one of the living legends who will be at the C2E2 2013 here in Chicago at McCormick Place. That begins on Friday the 26th, and it runs throughout the weekend. On the 28th on the hotline is Diamond Dallas Page. How are you?
How are you, buddy? Let me turn down when I was watching the 30-30. Turn that off. I'm doing great, man. I was watching the draft on 30-30 from 1984, which is an unbelievable year. So how you doing, man?
The tramp. That's not the cartoon with the two puppy dogs, is it? That's Lady and the Tramp.
No, I'm talking about the draft from 1983-84 with Marino and Elway and.
Oh, the draft. Yeah, we have ours coming up on Thursday, and the Bears got, I think the Bears got the 20th pick, and they still have no idea what might be happening here with the Bears when it comes to the draft on Thursday.
This really shows the really behind-the-scenes stuff and what was happening. You know, Kelly's a good buddy of mine, and just to see some of the things that was happening to him back then, and Marino, and of course, Elway. You know, it's great. They say it was the greatest draft ever. When you really look at what these guys did. Obviously, I love the 30-30 things that they do with ESPN.
Yeah, those are great. You know, it's interesting. You know, we would have talked about this eventually. ESPN did a hard-hitting feature on your buddy Scott Hall, and that was all over the YouTube, and ESPN reran it a few times, and you had such a vital influence on him. But when you see the special that ESPN had run a couple of years ago, for those of us who grew up as wrestling fans and watching him as Scott Hall in the AWA back in the day, boy, that was harsh to see everything that he had gone through, but it was just as relevating to see what you did to help him out.
You know, it's all a work in progress, and Scotty and I go way back to, back when I was in Florida Championship Wrestling. I was just being a color commentator for Dusty Rhodes. We had met and become buddies there. And then when I was in WCW managing the Freebirds, he just got back from Germany, and he needed a job. His wife was pregnant, and I pretty much came up with his look. The whole thing that would become Razor Ramon. Before there was even Razor Ramon, there was the Diamond Stud, and we did really well together. And he just didn't get the opportunity in WCW, but it proved that he was a main eventer when he went to the WWF, now the WWE. And then when he came back as Scott Hall with Big Kevin Nash, they changed the face of wrestling, and I was lucky enough to have that relationship with those guys, and they knew that I worked really hard and they needed opponents, so they pretty much made me in New Orleans one night, and we had an amazing career after that, and then he fell down a little bit, pretty hard, but he's on the mend now. He's been staying here in Atlanta with me and Jake Snake, and Jake's made an amazing turnaround through DDP Yoga, which is the workout that we do, but also, it's just a healthier lifestyle. It's about eating real food and getting, when you can take guys who are really beat up the way we are and turn your life around and eliminate the pain. The pain's the first thing, that when people can say what they want about wrestling, but it is literally, the pain that drives you to the drug and to the booze, because it alleviates the pain for the moment. And then when you come back out of it, it's all back there again. And Scott's done amazing since he's been here in Atlanta. He's over 90 days sober, and it's the first time he's been that. And he'll tell you, since he was 15, he's never been more than 15, 20 days sober, unless he was in the joint or at a rehab. And that's not what this is. It's just a really healthy, positive atmosphere.
No, it's interesting the impact that you're having on so many people because, yeah, we can go on your YouTube channel, we can look at the successes that you've had with Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts, but you can also see testimonials from your regular everyday people. You can talk to women, you can talk to men. I read with interest and I saw the Slim Gilliam story where you had people that were tipping the scales at 600 pounds and didn't think that they would ever get to the point of being flexible and losing weight. And so you're helping people across the board, not just people that you worked with when you were wrestling.
You know, Slim, and his real name is Slim Gilliam. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. You know, he started at 601 pounds. So when you hear people say, God, I'm so overweight, I'm 280. Really? 280? Let me introduce you to Slim. I started at 601 pounds. In 11 months, he's down 198 pounds. And that comes from eating real food and getting the processed garbage out of his diet. And I don't mean to be on a diet, I mean out of his diet, what he eats, and giving him a workout that anyone can do at any level. And I can make this the easiest thing you've ever done. And within the same class, when I'm teaching this, if you take the more advanced positions, it'll be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. It's like, what level do you want to go at? And that's what really makes it very accessible to people. And Slim, you talked about my YouTube channel. If anybody's listening, you really want to see some of these, these videos from Scott Hall or Jake the Snake Roberts or Slim Gilliam. If you go to DDP TV, just one word, DDP TV, and you search that, you'll see all of them pop up. One of them is Who Inspires DDP, and that's a story of the 7 or 8 month journey of Slim. I mean, he's really a remarkable kid, and his core strength is off the planet. I mean, it's off the charts right now. And one of the things I do is I teach people real core balance is like standing on one leg and then getting in different strength positions. One of them is you stand on one leg and put your foot like out in front of you or out to your side and try to lift it over your head. It's crazily challenging.
Well, it's interesting.
Well, his last weigh-in, he was 402 pounds. I got a picture of his foot over his head.
Well, and
standing there.
And I was looking at
402 pounds.
And I'm looking at some of those pictures, and there are people that'll say, "Well, you could do camera tricks or do whatever." But in one picture, you've got one of your students who does the foot over the head while he's holding a baby. It's kind of hard to fake that. Talking to Diamond Dallas Page on DDP Yoga. You know, it's interesting because when you went to the WWF, which became the WWE, a lot of times you look at the characters that are given to the wrestlers and you wonder how much of it is true to life and not so true to life. When you made the move from WCW to WWE, you came out as Positively Page, and a lot of people may have thought that you were doing that to kind of, jump on a lot of the motivational speakers and things like that, and you wrote the book Positively Page. Well, years later, the things that you're doing with DDP Yoga and your YouTube channel, that whole Positively Page, the book and the character, that really wasn't far-fetched.
I actually started this WWE the farthest to the left as you could be, which was they had me come in as the stalker of Undertaker's wife. And I was sitting right there with my wife at the time, who was drop-dead gorgeous. If it just somebody wants me to stalk another guy's wife, but everybody knows, like, this chick's, like, really married to me, and she's smoking hot. Like, no one's going to buy that. But, I went with her, because I figured they know, but they didn't. But when I knew I needed to shift out of that, I figured, let's go towards me, but let's even go farther. I mean, it was one of the lines that I would use is like, help me, help you, help you. Help me, help you. But the reality is, if I'm working with somebody, if they don't put the work in, I don't have the time. And people, especially wrestling fans, but people in general would be shocked if they knew how much I reached out to people who put the work in. Like, I have the site, everything is on ddpyoga.com. That's where you invest in the product and all of that. And when you do, invest in the program, you're sent the invitation to team TEAM, like a team, DDPyoga.com. And there you get like some of the greatest support system I've ever seen. And it all started with me helping this person or me helping that person. Now I can help numbers of people by, vocally helping one person, and you get to see it. And when they have these amazing, transformations, and it could be 20, 30 pounds. If I see that and they make me aware of it, a lot of times I call them up. Now they had to already take their pictures for the, that month. And I don't mean front and side. I mean like flexibility and core strength. There's 6 pictures I came up with. It's all around your physiology, your flexibility, and your core strength. Now, will it show your body and how you move and how you walk, and how you stand? Absolutely. But it takes it so much farther. We're doing a documercial. It's not really an infomercial because it's more of a documentary style, and it's much more inspirational style. And it isn't so much look at my abs in 60 days. It's like more like look at my life. Look how I'm owning my life. And within it, we have these pictures. And there's no weight loss program that has them. I never developed DDP yoga for weight loss. It just turned out to be a really awesome side effect. I developed DDP yoga to heal my own body when I blew out my back when I was wrestling. A lot of people know, and a lot of people don't know that I didn't start wrestling until I was 35 years old.
Yeah, you Dallas, you did it a little backwards, because I remember I was a big AWA fan back in the Jerry Blackwell days, and you were in the AWA in those days, but you started as a manager, and then eventually you became a wrestler. That is not the way it normally works.
Exactly, and I thought I was too old to wrestle, because I tried wrestling when I was 22, and it didn't really work out for me. And I knew I should have been a part of all that. And obviously I was right, because when I was 35, I was actually doing it. But my career did not take off until I was 40. That was 1996. And wrestling and the Monday Night Wars blew up the cable. We blew up the ratings on the cable television. Out of the top 10 shows, WCW and WWF had 4 of the top 10 shows on cable television. It was amazing. It was an amazing time. And 1997, I was awarded Wrestler of the Year by WCW. I was put in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I was rated number 4 wrestler in the world, both 97 and 98. And I was working a crazy schedule. And people can say what they want about professional wrestling, but one thing rings true. You can't fake gravity. Your body takes a serious beating, and I blew my back out. I had 3 different doctors tell me my wrestling career was over. And I was pretty devastated at the time. I just, hit the top of my career, just signed a 3-year multi-million-dollar gig, and then they were telling me it was over. And I'm a guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life. But it was a necessity. So I started to do it along with my rehab, and I saw an amazing improvement. I started to feel more flexible. I started to get stronger. And I was still weak as hell, but I was still miles from where I was when I originally got hurt. And then I started to mix the rehab moves with the yoga positions. And then I added in old school calisthenics. But I did it with a slow burn motion movement. So it wasn't a jerking. It was nice and slow, which activates muscles. As you do any kind of weightlifting or body for body, doing it slow, like a slow burn. And when I figured out, Harv, was every time you engage or flex a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So what I figured out by accident, completely by accident, is that moving slow, engaging muscles as if you're lifting weights. Every time you flex or engage a muscle, the heart's got to beat faster. So what I created was a workout. I call it dynamic resistance. It's a workout. And I'll tell you what, just do this with me right now. Like your hands are free right now because you got a microphone in front of you, right?
Right.
Harv?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm talking into a microphone.
Okay. Now, push your thumb and index fingers together. Like push them hard.
Right.
So the inside of your forearm, your bicep, and your pectoral muscles all engage.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now keep pushing them against each other, but straighten your hands straight out in front of you, but keep pushing your thumb and index fingers together. Try this at home if you think I'm jerking you around. Now, pull your pinkies away from your thumb. Like, try to pull them, like, spread them, stretch them, but push your thumb and index fingers away from each other. Notice how your hand engages, the outside of your forearm, your tricep, your deltoid, and your trap. Notice how all that engages?
Yeah, I'm actually literally doing that, and you're right. There's a domino effect.
Now, slowly creating your resistance. Reach your arm straight above your head, but create your resistance as you're moving. When you get as far back as you can bring your hands, now take your thumb and index fingers away from each other. Spread your arms wide out to like a cross or like a T. Now flex your hands, like really flex your fists and hulk it up. Don't get that crab shot. Roll your shoulders in. Really engage your chest, your pectoral muscle. Now, attention, roll your shoulders back. Attention, chest out. Arms wide, hands wide. Now let go. Tell me you don't feel the forehead, you don't start sweating.
Wow. There actually is a burn doing it, and you're doing, I'm doing it as I'm sitting down talking into a microphone, but there's definitely a burn, and like I say, it's like a progressive thing too. So it's something that's not difficult for someone that might want to do this. The interesting thing is it's not a weight-based program, so you don't have to go into a gym and work out. And the other thing that stood out about you as a wrestler back then, you peaked and you were winning titles, and at the time, most of the people that were getting pushed in that business were these huge musclehead guys, and your body type wasn't necessarily the musclehead.
A little bit better shape, and he was a better worker in the ring, and he was a great talker. But I patterned a lot of myself after Jake Roberts, after a Terry Funk, after a little bit of Dusty Rhodes, and more the warrior, the road warrior, and I lifted in the gym all the time, but I was never going to have that kind of crazy genetics, but I had a great body. And it held up. That's the main thing. And, and the best thing I didn't even say before, I had 3 doctors tell me my wrestling career was over. I was 42 years old. In less than 3 months doing DDP yoga, I was not only back in the ring, but I was up and running at a fever pitch. At 42, they said my career was over. At 43, I was the heavyweight champion of the world. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah, and you just had a birthday recently too, right?
I just turned 57 years young.
That's amazing to be at that age and helping so many people. And one of the testimonials that I saw on your channel was Mark Merrill, who was a professional wrestler himself, and he told the story about you talking to him about getting into this program, and he looked at you in essence as if you were insane because you're telling him let's do yoga. And of course, at the time, everybody's, hitting the gym and pushing the weights. And Mark Merrill, just like you, he had back issues himself.
Right. And I don't ever let anybody call my stuff yoga because it's DDP yoga, because it's not like everybody wants to put yoga in a box, and I get that. But mine's so different, and I challenge people. I say, you ever been to a yoga class? They'll go, no. Well, if they say yes, I go, is mine anything like that? They go, well, it's not. I go, exactly. Anybody who does my stuff and does yoga, they'll be like, wow, this is like kind of like there's some yoga stuff in here. Yoga is very namaste. DDP yoga, way more T and A, tone and attitude. And
and you don't talk over anybody's head. I mean, the language that you use is very understandable, very motivational. You got moves where you'll say touchdown. Well, okay, we all know how to signal touchdown, so it's easy to do, that type of move. So it looks like you've tailored it to anybody who's interested in doing it can do it. Now, let me ask you this too. Now, as people get older, I guess they lose focus sometimes on young people. How is this program, DDP Yoga, something that can be introduced let's say the high schooler, or maybe even younger. Some people that, like Mark Merle will say, yoga. Who wants to do yoga? This is something that young people should probably get into, because it's not weight based. It's not something where they can get hurt doing it. It's a resistance, and it's their own body. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I want to address the thing about Mark Merrow. Mark is probably one of my biggest supporters now. He's a huge supporter because he's 54 now, and his body's pretty beat up after being a three-time Golden Glover in the Empire Games in New York. If you're a Golden Glover in New York, you know how to box. And then having 12 years of wrestling, his body is really beat up. But he feels way better now that I got him eating real food as opposed to food that's genetically modified, and got him doing a workout that's pretty much minimal joint impact. There's no impact for anybody in my workout. Now, as far as kids are concerned, I've got a lot of kids doing my workout. I'm actually going to design a workout just for kids. And some of the kids I have doing this are like crazy, like strong, and just doing this for a year. I have one girl, her name is Skylar. And remember the name Skylar Ransom for any people who are familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because she is the phenom. She started with me about a year and a half ago. I was just filming my documentary in L.A. where she's from. Her dad he's like my brother. And she went head-to-head with me and did 4 10-second push-ups on film. Now, when I say a 10-second push-up, it means you lower 10, 9, 8, and when you get there finally down to 0, well, then you're 3 inches off the ground, and you hold for 10, 9, 8, and when you get to the end of that, you come up slowly like a hydraulic shift, 10, 9, 8, and anybody out there who's listening, try one of them. She's a little girl, 9 years old. She did 4 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's gonna be a phenom. I mean, she really is in jiu-jitsu, and she's learning because she just gets it, just comes to her, and she's got an amazing work ethic. So, and that's what it takes to be a great athlete. You have to have an amazing work ethic, and work ethic will beat talent every time talent doesn't work hard. Now, if you're talented and you've got that amazing work ethic, like Michael Jordan, well, we all know what happened there. So. I think for kids, if I could go back and change anything in my life, I would be doing this since I was like 5. If I had any kind of control over it when I was a kid like that, but I didn't. And I'm just damn happy that I'm doing it now. And it's affecting a lot of people in a really positive way.
Now, this is something that people can order off your website, and this is a series of DVD workouts, correct?
Exactly, and I set it up like that. It'll all come off the internet. Eventually, everything will be, beamed right to you. But for right now, we're still in a DVD world, and I've set up on 3 different levels. One is like an introductory, and it's all beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And the first 2 levels, and I did it that way for a purpose. Because if someone wants to try it, just get level 1. But if you want to own it, if you look at some of the examples of some of the testimonies that I have there, go, oh my God, wait a minute, this guy was disabled. He was 297 pounds, 5'6", walking with knee braces, back brace, and wraparound canes for 15 years. His video has over 8.7 million views, and his entire life changes. In 10 months, he loses 140 pounds, but more importantly, he uses the knee braces, the back brace, and the canes, and he's running. When he's like, oh my God, if he could do that, what could you do? That's my whole thing. If I can do this, if Arthur, the disabled veteran, can do that, if the chick who's 345 pounds can do that, if the guy who's 601 pounds can do this, what could you do? If you're an athlete, a young athlete, and you pull this into your toolbox, and I can pretty much bust at 57 years young, just about every young athlete on the planet, I can bust them and show them how weak they really are. Now, if you take that brilliant, really smart and hardworking kid and put this in his toolbox, wow,
You know, when I posted on my Facebook that I was going to interview you and talk to you about your DDP yoga program, Moises clocks in and he says, "Well, is this something that you were doing to take away from the daily aches and pains of being a wrestler, or you know, how is it that yoga helped the wrestling life? But you developed all of this, you know, a bit after your active career, didn't you? Or were you doing this when you were active?"
Well, I did it. I would never have been able to wrestle after 42 without it.
Ah.
It became part, and I still lifted weights because I wanted to keep that mass, because it's very cosmetic in professional wrestling. And I weighed in around 252, and that's where I wanted to stay. But as soon as I stopped wrestling, I dropped 15 pounds immediately and went down to about 240, 238. And then, as soon as I knew I wasn't going to get in the ring anymore, I went down to 225. And that's where I want to be, because it's great for my knees, my back, my body. But I'm very svelte now. I've got a muscular body. I'm toned as hell. If you want to see some of the things that Diamond Dallas Page can do at 57 years young, go on DDPyoga.com, and one of the top tabs will say DDP Yoga in the News. And click that, you'll see DDP at 57 years young. Click on that and watch some of the videos that you'll see, and they're all just short strength videos. Do you know what a superhero push-up is, Harv?
I do not.
Lay on your stomach, stretch your arms straight out in front of you. Now lift your feet off the ground, lift your hands off the ground, bring your feet back to the ground, bring your palms to the mat or the ground. Don't bend your elbows, lift your body off the mat.
Now, come May next month, in just a couple of weeks.
Wait a minute, Harv. I can do 50.
Oh, you're doing it as we speak.
No, not now. But you go watch on the video. You don't go into something like that cold. It's unbelievably challenging. But if you want to talk about core strength, it's at a whole different level. I got like 10 different, I have 6 different videos up there that are, one's more amazing than the other. And it's all because of what I do. I don't do them every day. I do them once in a while. And when it's time to go, I can show you what you can do with your body. All right, Harv, I got to cut it off. You got one more question?
I'll ask you about your book. You got a book coming out next month.
I got constantly pages out there. You can always get it on DDPyoga.com, but I don't have any book coming out.
Oh, I thought I saw a book cover that said "Yoga for Regular Guys." From Diamond Dallas Page. As something that was coming up soon.
They are just re-releasing that on a. They're re-releasing that as a ebook.
Oh.
And because when it's disabled veterans video, and anybody who's listening, you go to DDPyoga.com. That's the first thing that comes up is a disabled veterans video, Arthur Borman, and. The book on eBay was selling for $200. A used copy, which now it'll go way down if you get it on eBay. It was up to $78 for a used copy. So,
well, if you go to Barnes & Noble or Nook by Barnes & Noble, then you'll be able to pick up that book as well. And I guess it's not a brand new publication. I thought it was.
Oh, I wrote that book 7 years ago. But they're putting it out again. If they would have put a DDP Yogas, and then put Yoga for Regular Guys, then I would have, I'd get behind and say, but it isn't. It's Yoga for Regular Guys, which is DDP Yoga.
And you're in town this week.
Which is pretty funny.
And you're in town this weekend for C2E2. So what can the fans expect if they go see you either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
And I will be there with Jake the Snake Roberts. We'll both be at a booth. We'll be there. Matter of fact, make sure we get this out there. I'm actually doing an introductory class, not to be confused with one of my workshops that are about 2 hours and 15 minutes. This will be about a half-hour workout. I'll do about a 15-minute talk about DDP Yoga, and just bring some. We're going to be at 7:30 at the. Just come by the booth. I'll tell you exactly where it's going to be. It'll be close to the area where we're doing autograph signing. But 7:30 on Saturday night, we're going to be working out.
Be at the West Building in McCormick Place this weekend, Friday through Sunday. DDP, we can probably talk for hours about everything that you've been involved with, but I appreciate you taking out the time to talk to us a little bit about your career and about your movement and the lifestyle. You're very strong about telling people this is a lifestyle choice now. It's something that you buy into, and once you buy into it, you do it, and the results are unbelievable, and you're appreciated for everything that you've done.
I just want to talk, and I try to get people to understand that food, like real food that's not been genetically modified, you're going to see a big push for GMO. GMO means genetically modified organisms. It means that they took food that God created and recreated it so that they could patent it, own it, and make more money with it.
Jeez.
So great as a business model for that company, not so good for us as human beings. So people should be way more aware of it. Most people have no idea what it means. GMO, watch for it, because you're never going to see it out there. At least in the next 5 to 10 years, you won't see it out there labeled on products because our lobbyists keep it from happening. I'll tell you what you will see. You will see products that say no, as in N-O, GMO. Watch for that. That'll be as close to real food as you can get. On that note, if you want to check out what I'm doing, go to ddpyoga.com. It ain't your mama's yoga. Invest in the product. What I've got going here, this program, it's the real deal. Harv, it's been your pleasure.
It has been, ladies and gentlemen. He's Diamond Dallas Page on the Celebrity Hotline. Thanks again.
Yo, it's me. It's DDP. Diamond Dallas Page, the king of bada bing, the master of the diamond cutter, the three-time world champion. And you monkey, you're listening to, fuck me. Ready? Here we go. It's me. It's DDP. Diamond Dallas Page, the king of bada bing, the master of the diamond cutter, the three-time world champion. And you, well, you monkey, you're listening to WCGO, 1590 AM, and my man, the man with a plan, Harv.